In the fractured kingdom of Violor, where the sun had not risen for 3 generations, the estate of Ravenholm stood as the last untouched sanctuary. Its black willows whispered secrets to those foolish enough to listen, and its ravens carried messages between the living and the dead. Most avoided the place. Those who sought it usually wanted power, revenge, or oblivion. Elira Voss wanted all 3. She was a shadow thief, skin pale as moonlight, her eyes sharp as broken glass. A jagged scar ran from her left temple to her jaw, the gift of her former master, the necromancer lord who now hunted her across the ash-choked plains. Elira had stolen his soul jar, a crystal containing the last fragments of his dead wife's spirit. With it, she planned to bargain for her own freedom. The gates of Ravenholm opened before her without a sound. No guards, no traps, only the soft crunch of silver moss beneath her boots, and the watchful gaze of 1,000 silent ravens perched upon the ancient willow at the estate's heart. Their eyes reflected the bruised violet twilight that passed for sky in these lands. At the base of the willow waited the Lady of Ravenholm. She wore a gown of living shadows stitched with raven feathers. A crown of twisted silver and black thorns rested on hair that moved as if underwater. Her face was beautiful, in the way a grave is beautiful, cold, final, and strangely inviting. "You carry death in your satchel," the lady said. Her voice was quiet, yet it seemed to come from every direction at once. "And you seek life? Interesting." Elira lifted her chin. "I seek a bargain, the soul jar for protection. Your ravens can hide me from my master's sight. Name your price." The lady smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "Very well. Spend 1 night in the deep nest beneath my willow. Sleep as my guest. If you survive until the false dawn, I will grant you sanctuary. If not, the ravens will have their due." Elira hesitated. Every instinct screamed warning. Yet the necromancer lord's hounds were only hours behind her. She had no choice. They led her to the deep nest, a circular hollow formed by living roots, lined with raven feathers and soft black moss. The air smelled of rain on old stone and something metallic, like blood left too long in moonlight. Elira lay down, dagger clutched to her chest, the stolen soul jar glowing faintly against her ribs. Sleep came too easily. In the dream, she stood in a vast hall made of mirrored obsidian. Reflections stared back, versions of herself who had made different choices. One had never betrayed her master. Another had died screaming on the necromancer's altar. A third ruled beside him as queen of corpses. Then the reflection stepped forward. "You cannot outrun what you carry," they whispered in unison. The soul jar in her hands cracked. From within spilled not light, but darkness shaped like a woman. Beautiful, broken and furious. The necromancer's wife had not been a victim. She had been his willing partner in atrocity, trapped only after she tried to usurp him. "You stole the wrong weapon, little thief," the shade hissed. Black veins spread across Elira's arms as the spirit poured into her. Elira fought. She screamed. She stabbed at shadows with her dagger, but the blade passed through smoke. The ravens outside the dream began to caw, loud, piercing, no longer silent. Their wings beat like war drums. Back in the physical world, Elira's body convulsed in the deep nest. The lady watched impassively from the edge, fingers stroking the feathers of a great raven on her shoulder. "You knew," Elira gasped, half awake, half drowning in the merging souls. "You knew what was inside?" "Of course," the lady replied. "Ravenholm does not grant sanctuary, it grants judgment. You came seeking power over death. Now death seeks power over you, the merging completed with a sickening snap of will. Elira rose from the nest, but it was no longer only Elira. Two voices spoke from one throat. The scar on her face had split into raven wing patterns. Her eyes, one violet, one black, gleamed with new, terrible purpose. The necromancer lord arrived at dawn, leading a host of bone constructs and shadow hounds. He expected a broken thief begging for mercy. Instead, he found something far worse. Elira, the new Elira, stood beneath the willow surrounded by a storm of ravens. The soul of his wife smiled at him with stolen lips. "Hello, husband. I've missed you." The battle was short and merciless. Ravens tore into undead flesh. Shadow and feather became one terrible weapon. When it ended, the necromancer lord knelt broken before the Lady of Ravenholm, his power stripped, his wife's vengeful spirit now anchored in Elira's flesh. The lady leaned close to the thief, who was no longer just a thief. "Your price is paid. You sought protection and power. You received both, at the cost of yourself. Welcome to Ravenholm, new daughter. The ravens have claimed their due." Elira laughed with two voices. She looked at the endless twilight sky and felt no regret, only the cold satisfaction of a new, darker hunger. Somewhere deep beneath the willow, the empty soul jar lay shattered, reflecting 1,000 versions of what Elira had become, and the ravens, finally satisfied, returned to their silent watch. Ravenholm did not offer salvation. It offered transformation. And it was always hungry. The transformation was never truly finished. It only waited for the next fracture. Nixara Voss stood at the edge of the great willow's roots as crimson flowers bloomed like open wounds across the bark. Each petal screamed silently with stolen voices. The estate of Ravenholm had grown restless. The silent ravens now cawed at irregular hours, their cries sharp enough to crack bone. Something ancient beneath the tree was waking, and it was hungry for resolution. The Lady of Ravenholm appeared beside her, gown trailing living shadows. "The tree demands balance. 2 souls in one vessel is an abomination even for this place. Choose before the roots choose for you." Nixara clutched the jagged soul jar shard tighter. Blood welled from her palm and hissed where it touched the ground. Inside her mind, Elira's original consciousness raged like a caged storm. "I never wanted power," the thief's voice snarled. "I only wanted to survive. You turned my escape into this nightmare." The former necromancer lord, still pinned in the deep nest by iron roots, laughed weakly. "Welcome to my hell, little thief. Eternity tastes bitter when you share it with someone who hates you." That night, Nixara descended into the deepest chamber beneath the willow, a cavern of mirrored obsidian where every surface showed fractured versions of herself. Elira stood in the center as a fully formed spirit, scarred face twisted in fury. "Fight me," Elira demanded. "Winner takes the body, loser feeds the tree." They clashed, not with steel, but with memory. Nixara hurled visions of power, the thrill of commanding ravens, the ecstasy of breaking the necromancer lord. Elira countered with lost innocence, nights spent running from shadows, the simple dream of a quiet life beyond Violor's ash plains. Each memory struck like physical blows. Black feathers exploded from Nixara's back as Elira's will pushed harder. Above ground, the lady watched as the willow thrashed. Its silver leaves turned blood red. Ravens swirled in a screaming vortex, tearing at each other in sympathetic frenzy. Nyxara fell to her knees in the cavern. "Why won't you die?" she gasped. "Because I was never the monster," Elira whispered, stepping closer. "You became one the moment you let her in." A terrible truth settled over Nyxara. The necromancer's wife had not been the only passenger. Something older, Ravenholm itself, had slipped into the merging, feeding on conflict like nectar. The estate wasn't judging, it was cultivating. Desperate, Nyxara made a different choice. She stopped fighting and opened her mind completely. Elira's spirits surged forward, expecting victory. Instead, Nyxara wrapped her in shadow and dragged them both toward the mirrored walls. The obsidian shattered, reality fractured. When Nyxara opened her eyes, she was no longer one body. Two figures stood beneath the willow. Elira Voss, whole and scarred, breathing hard with her own stolen dagger in hand. And Nyxara, now a being of pure raven shadow and silver thorns. The true heir the lady had always wanted.